President Reuven Rivlin, thank you for sitting down with us.
A pleasure.
I don't think it would surprise you that there is anti-Semitism in Europe, but does the depth of the anti-Semitism surprise and worry you?
האנטישמיות מטרידה כל הזמן.
Anti-Semitism worries us all the time. Also, the denial of Israel's right to exist, which is an extension of anti-Semitism. That's also worrying. But we as a country have learned how to deal with it, how to deal with the memories of anti-Semitism, how to teach the dangers of anti-Semitism, and how to relate to it in the wider world as well, and talk about the phenomenon. We are diligent, and we have to be even more diligent to explain in all those places where anti-Semitism is spreading or returning that we are not ready to accept it.
The Holocaust is one of the most important events in modern history, and yet less than 100 years after the end of the Holocaust, there are Europeans who either don't know what it is or don't know its meaning. How do you fix that? Is it a matter of education, museums, or is it something bigger?
כפי שאמרת, זה גם חינוך.
As you say, it is education, and it's also commemoration. It's impossible to do without commemoration. It's impossible to do without showing the facts, the historical facts. But anti-Semitism did not begin with the Holocaust, and it did not start with Hitler. It began many years before that, hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. And in order to deal with it, we've established an investigative centre where the facts are clear and where there is evidence from those places where terrible acts were carried out.
Are the attacks in Pittsburgh and the neo-Nazi parade in Charlottesville signs of the growth of anti-Semitism in the United States?
אני כיהודי וכנשיא במדינת ישראל.
I, as a Jew and as President of the State of Israel, don't believe that anti-Semitism is found only in certain places. It exists in every place. It's evil, and evil can be found anywhere. It can be found on the right, it can be found on the left, it can be nationalistic, it can be religious. Anti-Semitism is evil, and when you speak of evil, you know that you must educate your children. Anti-Semitism is not just a problem of the Jews. Anti-Semitism is an international problem among all nations and peoples in which it spreads.
יש היום תנועות ניאו-פשיסטיות.
Today, there are neo-fascist movements that have a great influence once again in the hearts of people around the whole world. There are countries where it's returning, and it's very dangerous. And these same neo-fascist movements are movements that very much admire, according to what they say, the State of Israel.
ואני נפגש עם מנהיגי העולם כולו.
I meet with leaders from around the world. I meet with prime ministers, I meet with presidents with executive power, and some are telling me that in order to stay in power, we need to have a coalition, and we need these neo-fascist groups. I say to them, we're not getting involved in your internal democracy. But when you send leaders of these groups to us, and they say to us, we are representatives of neo-fascist movements, but we admire Israel, I say to them, gentlemen, this is impossible. It's impossible to say we admire the State of Israel, we want ties with the State of Israel, but we are neo-fascists. Someone who is neo-fascist is truly a person who is totally against the spirit, the principles, and the values of the State of Israel.
כשאתה מדבר על פיטסבורג, כשאתה מדבר על תופעות.
When you talk about Pittsburgh, when you talk about these phenomena go up and down, they come and go, but we cannot, under any circumstances, cannot for 1 second close our eyes, in particular when the State of Israel has such significance, which is central to this region and the whole of Europe and the free world. We have to say to the world, 2 things must guide future generations. One is the memory of the past, and the second is education.
והשני זה החינוך.
On a personal level, as a human being, as one Jew talking to another, how does it make you feel, the anti-Semitism in the world today?
אבל לנו ברור כשמש. האנטישמיות.
For us, it's clear as daylight. Anti-Semitism is a presence in society that corrupts society itself. We try to explain to the whole world, if you don't fight against anti-Semitism, it will hit your societies. Because there are stereotypes present in your societies that create a lack of understanding. The treatment of minorities, which is not humane or normal, these corrupt your societies. Anti-Semitism is an evil illness. It's evil, and evil does not exist in one place. Evil can sprout in every society that fails to examine itself, that fails to remember the past, and that fails to educate.
שלא זוכרת ולא מחנכת.
President Reuven Rivlin, thank you for your time.
Thank you.